What's happening in the world? This is MTB back here with another edition of Band Conversation. And happy late Valentine's Day to everybody. It's early February 2019. I'm currently in North Carolina, not too far from the Charlotte area. So what's up to everybody that's coming to the city for the All-Star game? Be safe, have fun, enjoy yourself, and everybody just have a good time and make it back home safely to your family and your friends. So today on Band Conversation, we're going to be talking about leaving a inheritance and a legacy to our kids. Because here we are, early 2019, and a lot of us have goals and New Year's resolutions that we're still working on and we're still striving and pushing for. But I want to put this on your mind. How many of us have set up a bank account or a trust fund or something like that for our children? And the reason why I asked that question is because I see a lot of things going on in the news, in the media. Right now, there's a boycott being called for African Americans not to buy Gucci products because they did a blackface advertisement, and a lot of people were offended by it. And so a lot of African Americans buy Gucci, which is a very high end, expensive clothing line. And so now a lot of African Americans are saying, well, hey, we're going to boycott buying Gucci. We're not going to wear Gucci products anymore. And so I have to ask the question, how many of us support our local retailers? How many of us support local boutiques and clothing lines that are black owned, that are locally owned right here in areas where we live? We'll bypass them to go buy Gucci and the other expensive brands. But these are people, African Americans and local businesses that we bypass every day to go buy this high-end expensive clothing. And then when they do something that we don't agree with, we call for a ban or a boycott. Well, this is what I want to put on your mind. A lot of us as parents, we have this idea that we didn't have certain things when we were growing up, so we want to give those things to our children. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you didn't grow up having the latest pair of Jordans, then most of the time a lot of us buy every pair of Jordans for our child or for our kids. If you didn't grow with the latest name brand clothing, or if you didn't get to wear certain jewelry, certain hairstyles, you want to give those things to your kids, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that we'll put a lot of emphasis on material things, and they don't really have any value. So what happens is when our children become young adults, and when they become adults in the world, and they're looking to establish themselves in the society, they don't have anything because your Jordans don't add up. Your clothing line and your expensive jewelry, things like that, that doesn't add up. None of us own any property. None of us have any say-so in government and in politics. So what I'm suggesting to the parents is that we got to start setting up an inheritance to leave a legacy behind for our children, so that when they're adults, when we're dead and gone, they have something to stand on. How many of our young men and women who are not African American, who are Caucasians, have family members and parents who've set up trust funds, who've established businesses and things like that, so that when they're gone, their family, their children can take over and have a head start in society. Donald Trump says it all the time. He says he started his business because his father gave him a small loan of $1 million. How many of us have $1 million to leave to our children? How many of us have a couple of $1,000s to leave to our children? If we want to be honest, majority of African Americans, when we die, we leave debt to our children. We don't leave any type of inheritance. We don't leave any type of savings. We don't leave any property to them. What we do is we leave them a large amount of debt that they have to figure out what to do with. A lot of times we die and our kids have to figure out how they gonna bury us. A lot of times we die. I've seen lately where a lot of African American families have been asking for having GoFundMe pages on Facebook and things like that. When adults die, when grown people, when people who've lived on the earth 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus years, and they have absolutely nothing, no savings or anything. They literally been scraping the bottom of the barrel their entire life. And now you're passed away and your children are trying to figure out how we gonna get a few $1,000s to bury you. That makes absolutely no sense. You've lived an entire full life and you don't have a few $1,000s to leave to your children so that they can give you a proper burial. So now I'm suggesting this for anybody that's listening. I'm suggesting that we go out and we start leaving an inheritance to our children. Go out and just simply start a bank account for your kids. Simply start a savings account for your kids. Go to your local banks and go somewhere, preferably a black-owned bank, and go and start saving $5, $10 every pay period, and put it in your kid's name and put it to the side so that they can't touch it, you can't touch it. And then when they're older, when they're grown up and they looking to start a business and they're looking to go to college, or when they're getting out of college and you know they've racked up so much amount of debt, they have something to stand on if they need that money for college, so that they don't have to take out loans and have student loan debt. Use that money for that. But put our children in a position where they can win, because we have started leaving a legacy and an inheritance to them. Go out and purchase you a property, own a piece of property, own a home, buy a home. It doesn't have to be a $1 million home like something you see on TV. Stop trying to live like the Joneses. Stop trying to live like the rappers. Stop trying to live like the NBA ball players. Go out, get what you can afford, what meets your family's needs. Get you a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, own it, pay it off, own it. It's in your name, it's in your family. That's part of your legacy. You own land, you own property, so that when you leave that to your children. They'll always have a place that they have a roof over their head. They'll always have a place that they can leave to their children. That's how you establish a legacy. That's how you establish an inheritance. Have something to leave behind for our kids. Hey, let's do like grandmama and them did. Get you a jar and take the change out of your pocket every night and put it in that jar. Teach your kids that when you get a little bit of change, when you get your little candy money, or when you get a couple of dollars that somebody, uncle or grandma and them gave you a couple of dollars, put it in your piggy bank. Get them a piggy bank for Christmas. Get them a piggy bank for their birthday, and teach them how to save. Teach them how to stack money. Teach them how to get money. We got all these sayings about the grind and getting money, but it don't do us no good to go out and get money and you turn around and spend all the money. At some point, we got to learn how to save the money, stack the money, so that we're in a place where we can grow, where we can have that inheritance to leave to our people, to leave to our children. So this is my idea. This is my suggestion to everybody. Here we are, 2019. We got to change our way of thinking. We got to have a different perspective on things. So I'm urging everybody, if you have children, even if you don't have children, let's start early. Before you have children, you don't have any children right now, go ahead and start a savings account, a separate savings account, so that when you do have children, this will be for them. Go ahead and start, get you a piggy bank, or get you a jar, put it to the side somewhere, and get that change out of the ashtray. Get that change out of your pocket. That change in the bottom of your purse, ladies. You know, y'all drop stuff in the bottom of the purse all the time. And when you go in there and you're cleaning out, you're switching out purses, you say, "Oh, I got all this change in here. It's a couple of dollars." Put that in the savings. Put that in the piggy banks and in the jars, and let's start saving and building. And then once you fill up that jar, get you another jar. Once you establish a savings account, go ahead and continue saving. Put $5 every couple of pay periods. Put $10, put $20, put something in there to keep the money rolling, to keep the money stacking. And in a few years, or when you have children, or when your children get older, they have something to stand on. You say, "Hey, I'm going to leave a legacy behind for my family, for my kids." And this is going to establish a new way of thinking in the mind of our young people, so that they don't grow up and be like many of us were. "Oh, well, I didn't get the Jordans because mamas was struggling. So now that I got a little bit of money, I'm going to buy every pair of Jordans for my kids." Well, there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens when the next pair of Jordans come out? Then those Jordans are no longer valuable. Or what happens when Jordan decide that he want to bring out the pair of Jordans that you got last year? He want to bring them out again this year, but he changed the color. So now you got to go and buy a whole nother pair of Jordans. Let's just really realistically think about this. If Michael Jordan tennis shoes cost $200 a pop, if you take $200 and put it in a savings account, and you done bought 4 pair of Jordan tennis shoes, you at $800 now. So what if I took $800 and put it into a savings account and let interest hit it and let it build up and let it sit for a year, let it sit for 2 years, let it sit for 3 years? Think about the money that I'm going to be stacking, so that when I get in a situation where it's time to really ball. And I ain't talking about going to the club. I ain't talking about balling that all-star game. I'm talking about when it's time to purchase a house, to be a homeowner. I'm talking about when it's time to purchase and pay off these cars that we driving, that we leasing, and that we spending all this money on, and then we trade it in and we start the process all over again. When it comes time to buy it off, pay it off, when it comes time to having good credit, when it comes time to open a business, when it comes time to establish and leave an inheritance and a legacy to our family and to our children, we have the means to do so. We talked about this on the last episode, I believe, and I'm going to hit at it again, but we're in a situation now where we're literally in danger of losing a majority of our HBCUs. And these are the institutions that were put in place for African Americans when we couldn't go to Duke, when we couldn't go to North Carolina, when we couldn't go to Georgia and Georgia Tech, and when we couldn't go to Syracuse and all these other teams that we root for in these colleges that we support, when they wouldn't let us in, it was the HBCUs that educated our people. And now we're in danger of losing those institutions because we don't have the finances to keep those places going. Well, what if we had taken initiative and been saving and been putting money to the side, stacking paper, grinding, getting paper, and when our institutions are in need, as they are now, we could write a check and say, hey, you're not finna close this HBCU. I'm writing this check to make sure that this HBCU stays open. Listen, our white counterparts do it all the time. They have booster clubs. They have people who never step foot on the campus, but they are donors. They just donate money. That's just what they do. They just say, hey, I haven't given y'all any money in a long time. Here's $2,000. I haven't supported the team in a while. Here's $1 million. I haven't supported the education, the science department. I haven't supported the law department. Well, look, here's a few $1 million. These are things that people do all the time at the white institutions, but we are unable to do that at the African American institution, for one, because we don't support each other. For two, we haven't been stacking paper the way we do. So then when we're in situations like this and we're in danger of losing HBCUs, we're looking to the athletes, we're looking to the entertainers, and we're looking for all these people to step up. But what if we had already stepped up? What if the average everyday African American has stacked their paper, left a legacy behind for their children? We wouldn't need these type of situations. We wouldn't have to beg for money. We wouldn't have to have GoFundMes, and we wouldn't have to have fundraisers. We would already be in a situation where we were established, where our neighborhoods were established. The HBCU is a part of our legacy, our culture, our neighborhoods. So if we're taking care of our neighborhoods, we take care of the HBCUs. We're taking care of our neighborhood, we take care of the black-owned businesses. If we're taking care of our neighborhood, we're able to establish this privately owned African American schools. We're able to fund them and we're able to support them without looking to a government or someone else to come in and fund these things. We do them ourselves, but it all goes back to having a legacy and an inheritance. So every individual family, individual person has a responsibility, not only to yourselves, but to our people, our culture as a whole. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that. A lot of people say, well, I got to look out for me and mine. Looking out for you and yours means looking out for the community that you and yours lives in. Looking out for the children and looking out for the institutions that teach our children in the areas that we live in. So that's all I got for y'all, man, right here on Band TV. Y'all remember, MTV is telling you, he's saying to you on February 2019, let's change the way we think. Let's go ahead and start an inheritance and a legacy for our families. And let's just start small with just taking care of the kids. Let's just get a trust fund. Let's get a savings in place. Let's get some kind of money that we can stack up and put to the side for our kids, for our young people, so that we can build, so that we can leave an inheritance and a legacy. This is MTB. I'm signing off, Band TV. Y'all check me out next time. Keep liking, sharing the page, telling everybody about Band TV. You got any topics of discussion that you want to discuss, things that you want me to give my opinions on, things that you have, you want to give your opinions on, we can even go Facebook Live, Instagram Live, all that type of stuff, and we can get into this thing together. This is how we grow, this is how we build, and this is me doing my small part, but I need you guys' help as well. So here on Band TV, band conversation, band stuff we don't get to talk about in the public very often. This is the band conversation that a lot of people don't want to discuss, but we're going to discuss it here. Band Conversation, MTB. I'll see y'all next time. I'm out, and y'all be blessed.